This segment of the Bass Kayak and Beers podcast is sponsored in part by Dark Horse Tackle. Go to darkhorsetackle.com and use promo code BKB5 to save an extra $5 when you build your own box. Douglas Outdoors. Serious rods for serious anglers. Norsk Lithium. The lithium kayak battery you need is just a click away. Go to norsklithium.com. Catch Outdoors, the official measuring board for all 3 national trails. Go to catchoutdoors.com and use promo code BKB5 to save 5% on your next online purchase. What is going on, everyone? I hope you are having a wonderful Thursday. We got another live show for you today. If you don't mind me, give me a second here. I'm always behind in anything and everything that I want to do. But anyways, welcome to the Bass Kayak and Beers podcast called The Real Life. Our live shows, weekly shows every Thursday. We talk to tournament anglers, you talk to content creators, and we just have fun conversations. In today's episode, actually, we have Zechariah Fullard and Josh Shitwood, which they've been on my podcast plenty of times. They are the founding fathers of Dark Horse Tackle, and we're going to be talking about their monthly box for June. It's a top water box. That box looks absolutely amazing, and I wanted to talk about it. I'm sorry, I'm not looking at the camera right now. I am trying. Oh, that's what it is. Give me 1 second. I should have done this on Instagram. I'm trying to do live on Instagram, but the problem is, you know what? Instagram, sorry, you're going to have to excuse me today because I didn't put the video in public. So anyways, no Instagram live today. It's just going to be Facebook and YouTube. So if you're watching on Facebook or YouTube, feel free to leave us a comment. If you have any questions for our guest, again, we're going to be unboxing the top water box for June for Dark Horse Tackle. I don't know what's in the box yet. I opened it. Let me be completely transparent. I did open it. So I kind of have an idea what's inside the box, but I don't fully grasp everything that's in the box. And that's why we are having Zechariah and Josh. Hold on. Another message here. Save changes. I hope you all can see me and watch me. I keep getting notifications from Instagram. Anyways, let's bring our guests in, Josh Shitwood and Zechariah Fullard. Gentlemen, how are you guys doing?
Good, man. How are you?
Pretty good, man. It's this episode is gonna be like a little bit of I don't know, like a little bit of a crapshoot because we all doing it at the last minute. You guys just got home from work. I wasn't planning on doing a live show today. I'm actually getting ready to fly to Alaska for some halibut and some fly fishing for king salmon for a whole week. But I didn't want to leave the episode. I didn't want to go out without leaving an episode. So
hey, man, last minute is our specialty.
I know, right? We kind of makeshifted all this at the last minute, but it'll go through. So tell me about your week, guys, before we start with the unboxing. How's everything going, Dark Horse Tackle? How's everything with work? Have you guys been fishing?
Dark Horse Tackle's better than work, and no, I haven't been fishing.
No? You know, we talked about it a little bit. They say the more you get involved in the business side of fishing, the less you get to fish.
Dark Horse Tackle's better than work, and no, I haven't. I mean, who's watching this right now?
Maybe my mom. She's happens to be on Facebook. That's about it. Nobody cares.
There's an echo. But
yeah, I know, right?
But
go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think Dark Horse Tackle's getting in the way of me or Zach fishing. I think work is getting in the way of us fishing.
What is it that you guys do, Josh?
It's not easy. I'm an install lead over at AWS. I do basically blue collar IT work. I service server racks for cloud servers and run fiber optic cable to them in a 120-degree data hall.
Oh, that's fun.
Sometimes.
And Zach, last time we talked, I think you were in the middle of switching jobs. Is that correct, or am I getting that wrong?
I'm a union millwright, so I'm always switching jobs.
Oh, okay.
Basically, I spend most of my time fixing steam and gas turbines so that the lights stay on for everybody.
That's important. But anyways, let's get into the
glorified mechanic.
Glorified mechanic. Here you go. Top water box. What? Before we get into it, is this the first year that you guys do a top water only box, or have you done this every year? And is it always on June?
This is the third one, and this is the second time it's been in June. The first one was in July, and Zach and I both came to the agreement that July was too late.
Yeah.
Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah, because you don't use this. You don't use what's in this box just that month, right? Like if you're subscribed to your monthly subscription box, you don't just use the bait for 1 month, right? You can use them all year long as long as the bait works.
Four, Josh. The first one was in 2021.
That would be 3.
2021, 2022, 2023, 2024.
Oh yeah.
Because
public
fun fact
system.
Fun fact, what it used to be called was the Oops All Top Water box.
Yes.
Was my very first box that I got from Dark Horse Tackle when I was just a subscriber.
Just a wee lad.
Just a wee little lad.
So this is for the 4th year. For those that are watching or listening to podcasts, if you don't know Dark Horse Tackle, it's a monthly subscription box. It's not the typical MTB where it's just bargain baits. You guys what you call yourself curators, right? You look for some small companies that, for the most part, have proper priority. What's the name of the word? I never can get that word.
Depends on what you're trying to say here, Armando.
He's trying to say proprietary.
Proprietary. There you go. Thank you.
Okay.
Proprietary designs for the most part, or
you had
colors.
Me so messed up, I couldn't think of how to pronounce it.
I know. Yeah. So it's contagious. Dyslexia is contagious.
Just to let you know, we are not just a subscription box anymore.
Exactly.
We are a fully operational online retailer.
Exactly. And I love what you guys do. And we're going to talk about, there's some stuff that I happen to glance over the box that I really like. And it's like hard to find. This is like the tackle warehouse of hard to find, but quality baits is what I would describe Dark Horse Tackle. Also, like for those that are watching, you can get a 5% discount on BK using promo code BKB5. If you don't want to do a monthly subscription, you don't have to. You can use that discount for a monthly subscription, or you can just build your own box and use that code and save $5. But anyways, let's get into the box. Anything that I should know before I open this puppy?
Watch out for the hooks.
Yeah. Words to live by. So first and foremost, Kayak Christian sticker. That's you always. Let me get this straight. You always promote like an individual angler, nobody that's really famous or anything. Just people that subscribe, that follow you, that support you. You always have that, and you always promote a small business. Is that correct?
Absolutely. Now, as the individual angler, we've had Josh Shrenko on the cover before.
He's not famous. Yeah, he's famous.
I don't know about famous, but. It's just we're looking for great pictures of a person and a fish, and we just something that somebody sends to us. You know what I mean? I actually just had the guy from Cornerstone Baits, the guy responsible for Cornerstone Baits. He just sent me a picture today, and it's badass. And I said, hey man, like email that to me. Josh and I will probably put that on one of the upcoming pamphlets that you get in the box.
Yeah, he's got his legs wide open though.
They are a little wide.
Maybe we'll try to put the logo up there or something.
That's scratch
But
shots.
that's
always.
like, yeah, that's
you
like
know how many. You know how many pictures sometimes get with the front GoPro, and I'm like, oh man, I took a hero shot, and I look at it, and I'm like, I'm not posting that. I'm just my legs is just like a spread eagle holding a bass. It looks weird. I'm not gonna. I have to either crop it, but if I crop it, like I cut a little bit away from the tail of the bass, it's like, man, I have to kind of.
Zach will like this one. Your wife will get mad.
Yeah.
Why would that be?
You gotta be careful you don't got the kickstand showing.
Yeah, I've had a couple of those that are like, yeah, I'm not gonna use that picture. But
Couple
Kayak
kickstand
Cushion
shots.
is the featured small business, and you guys have a little barcode here or a QR code, not barcode.
Mhm.
That's dates me right there. I'm a 70s and 80s kids when we have barcodes. Now we have QR codes, and if you use this QR code, you get a 15% discount on Kayak Cushion.
Well, there's a code above that.
Oh yeah, Dark Horse Tackle.
Right.
15.
So these small businesses that we work with, more often than not, I'd say 99.9% of the time, provide our subscribers and customers with a discount code for their business. It's kind of like I don't know, a little bit of part of that virtuous cycle that we talk about here and there between us and small businesses.
Nice. And the featured angler for this week is Tony Scazzi. Is that correct?
Skates.
Yep.
Skates. Yeah, you guys mentioned that. June 2024. All right, let's get into the box. So on the back, we have all the baits are in it with the company and the retail price, not the discount price, the retail price.
Correct.
If you were to buy them on their website or a retail store or anything like that, right?
Correct. That's
So
actually, it's specifically from the manufacturer's website.
Yes.
Perfect. So Atham Baits, tell me about that company. Never heard about it before I go into their bait.
He's a good custom painter, I'll tell you that. He's got his own website. I think it's just anthembaits.com.
It is.
He's got a bunch of patterns that he's made himself, and he also does some custom work. For example, Dark Horse Tackle. But he's a great painter. He's super easy to work with. Basically, we just said, here's an idea, and he said, okay, and did it.
Very no nonsense. Love that.
Yep.
Love
Yep. There's a lot of times with like painters and stuff, like here's my thing. I don't want to come off like an asshole. All right. I have a tendency to do that. Right.
You beat me to it.
Yeah.
So one thing, I'm a little bit of a nonsense guy. I like being silly, but when it comes to, I guess me paying for a service, and that service being hundreds of baits being painted, I don't want 2 cents too often unless I ask for it. And most of the guys we've been working with, it's just like, hey, I want a crawdad, a bluegill, a crappie, a shiner, a shad, an alewife. I want one that's black. I want one that's white. And it's like, good, got it. Hey, how's this? Because instead of ideas, I want a physical representation. I want, how do you feel about this? This is my bluegill. Yes or no? I don't want, I was thinking we could do all crappie patterns. Like, that's just not what we're after here.
Nice. That's cool. So it's more like
he's out of Texas, by the way.
nice. Oh, really?
Yeah.
Atham's Bait. All right.
So is Cornerstone, by the way.
Who's Cornerstone? Is that a company that's here? I haven't looked at everything in the box. All
You'll
right, cool.
see.
All right, that's probably the next one. All right. So what is this? Is this like a Shapo? Kind of like, I'm not saying it's that, but like the Shapo or like the what's the other one? The Shapo is the kind of the knockoff of the original one. Whopper Plopper is the original one, right?
It's a plopping style topwater bait.
Nice.
Yeah. The Chapo, both the Chapo and the Whopper Plopper have it's plastic on the back, right?
Yeah.
Correct.
So this has it's like half a buzzbait prop. So the neat thing about these is with the Whopper Plopper, they have a tendency to roll on themselves.
Yes. I hate that.
This does not roll like
really?
that. It'll keel one way or the other a little bit, but it won't actually roll like the Whopper Ploppers do.
And what about? Go ahead. I'm sorry.
And it's got it, and because of it being a metal blade back there, it's a different sound, which is something I kind of want to get into if we're talking about top water. I've got a lot of theories about sound of top water.
Go ahead. Go ahead. No.
Come on.
It's time.
Classes in
I'm on. I'm on.
It's a live show. Yes.
So I started really getting into top water. I'm gonna say 2002. And I actually started with I can't even remember the brand that it was, but it was just one of like a horny toad style bait.
Mm-hmm.
And I just started fussing with stuff. I ended up using a Gambler flapping shad, and I cut the tail a little bit. And I went some things with two tails, some things with one tail, some things bigger, some things louder, some things softer. And what I found out that is, if you're throwing some big, noisy, loud topwater and you're not getting any bites, throw something with a very subtle topwater action, and you can change that, and you will get bites. Basically, my theory is that if fish are shallow, you can catch them on topwater. Period.
Yeah.
End of the story. Period. If you're not catching them, it's because you're either not enticing them enough or you're scaring them. It's one or the other. But if you go from running a speed worm across the top of the water, which is not, it's a speed worm doesn't make a whole lot of commotion. Just a little bit. Okay. To throw in a big loud buzz bait. You have a big range of sounds. And I think that people need to dial that in to where they're fishing, the day they're fishing, the conditions they're fishing. And I truly believe that it's always, if fish are shallow, and when I say shallow, I don't necessarily mean they are in 2 feet of water. They might be in 50 feet of water, but as long as they're
in the shallow water column,
right? As long as they are up near the top.
Yeah.
So
when you say shallow, it's just in relation to where they are, not how deep the water is.
Correct.
What to add to that, what I have noticed is when the water is shallow and they are shallow, it's more or less a reaction versus a natural feeding pattern. So, a popping frog, a buzz bait, something that is loud, something that does make noise, versus when I am catching fish in 20 to 25 foot of depth, but the fish are at like 6 to 8 feet feeding on minnows, realism. So this plays into sound, as Zach was saying, like a walking bait is a really good bait to throw when the fish are in a deeper pool of water, but a shallower column. Yeah. So if they're in 6 to 8 foot and you're throwing a walking bait, most of the time they're already looking up, but that walking bait has that realistic look, especially if they're already feeding, if they're already eating fish, throwing something that looks like a fish versus something going bang, 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 bang. The thing going bang, bang, they're going to ignore because they already have so much in front of them. Whereas in a foot of water, let's just say a foot of water in a mat of grass, something going bang, bang that they can't really see or they don't really know what it is. They just need to investigate and get rid of it. Those are two things that I've figured out through just like a few years of fishing.
And even with a walking bait. So in that box there's a walking bait. And
before we get into that, just quick question, second. Sorry to interrupt. So I don't want to lose the attention to this bait in particular. So where is the ideal time or place to throw this in relation to what you just said? Fish in the column, whether they're in the deep pool towards the top or whether it's shallow grass or shallow rock. Which would you say is where you would use this Whopper Plopper style We're just gonna call it that just because you know what it is,
Yeah.
what it looks like. Where would you use it?
I like that kind of bait in a low light condition.
Okay, and as far as the water column relation, what are you that we're talking about?
Honestly, to me, it doesn't really matter. That particular bait, I low light conditions. I'm gonna edge out. I'm gonna edge out weed lines. Bluff walls possibly. And if I know the fish are shallow or high in the water column, even in deeper water, that bait's gonna catch them.
Yep,
straight up.
And
it's not.
By the way,
it's a more aggressive bait. It's a more aggressive bait because of its size.
I was showing how sharp the hooks are. You do exchange the hooks, right? You don't. You put in
not exchange. We actually have the painters paint the blanks, and then they come to us, and then we put the hooks on. And sometimes that goes well, and sometimes there's a problem.
But not quality hooks. All of your baits have vector hooks, right?
Correct.
Nice.
Interesting fact about vector hooks. All vector hooks, no matter what it says on the package, are rated for salt water, which means you have to actually work hard to get those hooks to rust.
I like that because I'll buy hooks, put them on my box, and I forget that I don't use those type of hooks that much, and then they're all rusty. So what is this one? I want to see the official name on it. So this
Top
is
prop.
Anthem Baits AB Top Prop. This retails $17.99, so $18 for this, but obviously it's on the box. So nice, awesome. Let's go.
It's a hell of a bait, and with the hooks that are on there,
go ahead.
If you miss or the fish misses, somebody needs to change something because you're doing something wrong.
All right, let's go to anything else you wanted to add about this bait, Josh?
No, I agree with Zach on the time and place. The plopper style baits. I don't have many weeds in most of my lakes, but I will throw that bait when they are more aggressive, or if I'm making blind casts, I will keep it relative to a less snaggy environment. So throwing it in front of trees, throwing it in front of bushes, throwing it down, chunk rock banks, things of that nature, bluff walls, like Zach said. But yeah, I mean, same, doesn't really matter the water column. That bait will column any direction. And the nice thing about that bait is since you can change the cadence and move it so much, you can keep it either more natural or you can keep it really erratic, and you can harvest a bite one way or another.
Yeah, it is actually pretty cool. It kind of sounds a little bit like a buzz bait, but if you stop it, it doesn't sink. So
nice.
you can actually pause that thing, and sometimes that makes a difference. Josh was talking about throwing around trees and stuff like that. I had never tried it before. I was just recently trying it with a buzz bait about 3 weeks ago. I think it was last year. Heavy Hitters, Alton Jones Jr. was like, he was flipping a spinner bait into trees. And what do you think, Josh? Was that like a 15-foot retrieve? Like, that was close combat, right?
Yeah, he was getting a reaction strike from hell is what he was getting.
So I was actually doing that with a buzz bait.
Yeah.
And dude, it works. Like, you can be kind of right on top of them and make short pinpoint casts to a certain spot.
Yep.
And get those bites. So that's something else to consider.
All right, next up is the Cornerstone Baits, the Big Swifty. Oh, we got a Swifty in the house.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Never thought we were going to have a Swifty in the podcast, but here we go. This is a walking bait. Again, I've mentioned this on the podcast when guys have been here, and I mentioned other times. The orange details on the belly and under the gill plate, they're always money. I don't know what it is, but I feel like crankbaits, top water. If I can get a bait that has that accent orange or red on the belly or below the gill plate, I feel like it gives me more bites. I don't know why it is, but
It's a bite me mark.
Yeah. What I love about it is the details on this, and this is why you guys are curators, right? Because you're not just getting a simple top water bait. What I love is the 3D, I guess imprint on the gill plate. Like it looks real. It may not make a difference to the bait but for me, I just like baits that that are molded into something, not just painted over.
Yeah, we caught the fisherman.
Simple blanks. Yeah, exactly.
All right, something about that bait that is different from any other hard bait that you will get from Dark Horse Tackle. That does not have vector hooks.
Yes, I was just about to ask. And it's a one knocker too, right? Yeah, it's a one knocker.
I don't think it's a one knocker. I think it's got a couple like ballast style BBs in there. I know the big knocker is definitely for more of a cast control thing. It's a heavy bait. I think it's an ounce and a quarter. You can throw that thing a mile.
That's what I like about both the Anthem that we just talked about and this one. These are not necessarily close combat. This is like, I feel like, and you guys tell me if I'm wrong. Like if I'm fishing a highland reservoir, those lakes that just have rocky ledges. They're generally deep. They have a lot of standing timber, and I want to cover a lot of ground. Then I can bomb cast it.
Absolutely.
Parallel to the bank and cover as much ground as I can. Like one bomb cast is going to save me time in the sense that all right, one bomb cast, I covered 50 feet of or whatever it is of this bank that I don't have to cast again. I can just kind of move forward another 50, 60 feet, depending how far I cast it.
That is actually one of my most favorite parts about throwing topwater. There are very few topwater baits that aren't meant for covering water. And I mean, granted, you can work a popper really slow. You can work certain frogs pretty slow. There's a few topwaters out there that are meant to be slow, but most of them are meant to be fast, and you're meant to cover water because you are looking for aggressive fish. And yeah, a bomb cast is absolutely part of that.
And what would you say is, in your guys' case, we talked about the water column, where, how deep the water is and where are the fish related in the water column versus shallow water where the fish obviously are going to be shallow. Where would you say, which would be the ideal place you would throw walking
I would
bait?
throw it anywhere.
Absolutely.
I would take
anywhere.
any water column.
A walking bait calls fish like no other kind of bait.
Yep.
There's something about a walking bait that does that.
Which one would you, if you had to choose between a whopper plopper style bait and a walking bait, which one would you, and you can only throw one for the rest of your life, which one would you choose?
I would take a plopping style bait because I can cover more water.
That's true. And faster too. What about you, Zach? Plus, you get tired of just like
I love walking frogs. All right, I'm gonna actually go with the walking bait, and the reason why is because I love walking frogs, and I love walking baits. I actually enjoy that I am imparting an action. I can actually have a style to what I'm doing.
You're more of an influence in catching the fish than your typical throw it and just really.
And please do not get me wrong. One of my most favorite things to do is cast the bait out and retrieve it back to me as fast as I can, straight, doing absolutely nothing. So, which is what you do with most plopping style baits, whether they be soft plastic, wire, whopper, plopper, or otherwise. But I actually really enjoy getting hits and catching fish on any kind of bait that I can walk because I feel like I had a little bit more to do with it.
If he doesn't have to work for it, he doesn't like it.
That's the DNA of a fisherman, right? Like bass fishermen,
No,
like we could be using live bait, but we don't. We use the
I
hardest
don't
way to
use
catch
live bait
fish.
because it's illegal in tournaments.
Well, no, just saying fun
If I had it
fishing.
my
Like
way, buddy, I'd be throwing shiners everywhere I go.
goldfish, like put that
Yep.
circle hook on a dorsal fin of
Yep.
of a goldfish, get a
Yep.
20-pounder.
Done.
All right, next up, let's see. Defiant naked buzzbait. Ooh, this is okay. Before I forget, $11.99 on the Cornerstone Baits Big Swifty.
Yep. So we're already at $30 with 2 baits.
30, almost. Yeah, $30. Yeah, 10. Yeah, $30. You're right. I was gonna say your math is wrong, but no, you're right. All right, I want you guys to tell me about this because I am very familiar with this little design, typically this little notch here, but I know you guys work hard to get this bait on the box. Who makes this bait, and why you guys love this bait so much?
I mean, I love buzz baits. I think a buzz bait's my favorite topwater bait to throw. And ever since I was a kid, I didn't like the skirting on buzz baits because it didn't allow me to cast the bait. So I'd always cut the skirting off.
Mhm.
And then I would just throw a horny toad or a like a little swim bait or a grub on the back. There used to be a really big Yamamoto grub that I would throw on the back. It was like 4 to 5 inches. And it just adds what it does is it adds density to the bait for you to cast. So anyways, this bait is designed and made by Oliver Nye, who's a pretty big deal in the YouTube and Instagram world. He is the owner of Defiant Baits. He makes his own swim baits. He's got swim bait heads. He's got this buzz bait, the naked one and the skirted one. But the naked buzz bait is a very heavy buzz bait designed to get up very quick. That's the notch style. It's got a screw lock keeper on it and a slick coated Ryugi flipping hook that is custom fitted to that bait. Yeah. That hook is a gaff.
It's kind of weird.
It's not as weird as you think it is when you start throwing it.
Not saying weird in the wrong way.
No, I get it. No, I understand. I actually like to throw the bait along the curvature of the hook. I know a lot of people probably won't like that, but for whatever reason, I get that bait to run better when the bait is kind of riding along the curvature of that hook. And it does look a little silly, but honestly, nice thing about that bait is it allows you can skip that bait. If you gotta have some decent brakes on your reel to get it skipping, but it gets up in the water column quick. You can cover a ton of water with buzz baits. It pairs up perfectly with another bait that's in that box.
Yep.
And I'll let you take it from here. Or Zach, whoever.
Zach, what do you well before we get into the pairing for this, like you guys always do, anything else you want to add to this bait? By the way, before Zach, sorry, I asked you the question, then I interrupted you. It is a lot heavier than I expected.
3/4.
Good catch, Armando. And I'm thinking, man, you really have to like burn this thing for it to stay on top of the water column. But this little notch helps in keeping it on the top, because I guess my theory is if it's too heavy, then really all you have is a spinnerbait, because it's gonna sink. And if you want to keep it on the top, the problem is you're gonna have to reel it so fast that if the fish are not really enticed to work for their bait or swim as fast for their bait, they're not gonna bite it. But in this case, this little notch, now I haven't tried it, but this little notch right here tells me that what you mentioned, Josh, that it's meant to keep the bait elevated as soon as you start reeling
Keeps
it
it flat too.
Yeah, it keeps it flat, kind of like on an airplane, like the flaps on an airplane, right? When they take when they're
it's a scoop.
Yeah, the scoop.
So another thing, sorry, Zach. Another thing I want everybody listening to understand, and I'm going to try to learn you something here. There is a very, very large difference between weight and density. That bait is a very balanced weight. There is a very balanced weight on that bait. And what is propelling that bait to the top of the water is not only the hydrodynamic head design, but also the size of the buzzbait blade itself is going to allow that bait to stay up. So if you put like a blade that was meant for a 1/4 ounce buzzbait on that, it would be a spinnerbait. But the bigger the blade and the more weight you have spread out, like that is almost perfectly centered. It takes about 2/3 of the bait before you get to that weight. That allows you to cast it far because it is a fixed weight. There is no weight transfer. All you need to do is add a little bit of weight from the plastic on the back, and if you're throwing like a 4-inch toad, maybe there's one in the box, that's going to allow you to cast farther, but it's also going to add weight displacement to that bait to make it less dense.
I like it. Now, going back to the next one that we have, and thank you for those explanation, guys. I really appreciate it. By the way, anybody watching on Facebook and YouTube, if you have any questions about the baits, any questions for the guest, please leave it in the comment section. Tell us where you're watching from. We will give you a shout out. And also, if you have any questions, again, we'll do our best to answer your questions. Maybe you have some questions about, when to use a whopper pull-upper style, when to use a walking bait, and all that good stuff. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask. I'm sorry. Now, next one, and I always give you props to you on this, guys. You always pair. You don't just throw stuff in there, right? Like you don't go bargain hunting, bin shopping for discounts.
Well, we do. We go bargain hunting.
Well, I mean, what I'm saying is like
sense.
Undiscriminately, like some big other companies do that. That I've been subscribed to. That it's like this doesn't make sense. It seems like they're getting the overstock baits, or the baits that are no longer being produced and they just want to get rid of, instead of like having like a process where you're like, okay, I'm matching the soft plastic with the actual bait. And that being said, you got this kind of like a horny toad. No, the appendages make me think more of the ribbit. I forgot who makes the ribbit toad.
That's a Stanley bait.
Stanley bait, yes. Yep. It does have quite some long legs. I don't think the Stanley bait does.
That's the 412 toads, by the way.
Oh yeah.
But it makes a really good sound in the water when you run it. So I like to run them weightless.
I do too.
I run them weightless, and I just basically cover water with them. A lot of top water baits is just covering water. Now, granted, yes, you can target fish. You see a fish blow up, you throw it to blow up. Yes, that's like the preferred method of a top water bite. But a lot of it is covering water. A lot of it is trial and error. And the nice thing about this is, a lot of times when there's a top water bite, it's not just one bait that can get it done, but sometimes it is one bait that only gets bites. It is only one presentation that gets bites. And you're getting a multitude of presentations here between walking style baits, plopping style baits. You've got a buzz bait, and then you've got, this, soft plastic frog that you can run.
A soft plastic buzz bait.
Yeah, basically.
I wanted to touch on that because that's something that I've discovered recently, and I have to say more by accident.
Oh, welcome. Let's have lunch, Armando. Soft plastic buzz baits are the most beautiful thing in the entire universe.
I wasn't talking about that, but
whatever.
No, what Josh mentioned recently, I went up to a lake, and I lost my top water, my hollow body frog. So I just know it wasn't that. I had a huge backlash on my top water setup, on my frog setup. So, and I had some bites on top water. So I decided to throw a more beefier spinning rod that I have from Douglas. And what I did is I used a 3/0 offset hook, and I put in a horny toad. And I just use it like because it's lightweight. I don't have to have a 8.1 or 9.1 speed reel. I can just use my 5.4 spinning reel with my rod, and it'll still stay on the water because generally it floats, right? And I had so many topwater bites, and the difference between that and the hollow body toad, I've still to this day, like I went to a lake. I didn't have my GoPro with me. I left the battery, and I wish I had. I had 2 topwater bites on that, and I do have a couple of reels on my Instagram of on the tournament that I did in Tawakoni, and I was catching him that same way. And I don't think, and it's funny because I put those reels up, and there's always 1 or 2 people commenting, not hateful comments or anything like that, but generally curious. Is like, are you throwing topwater frog on a spinning rod? I'm like, yes. And it's awesome as long as you have the right rod for it.
So I quit fishing for.
You quit fishing?
For almost like, I don't know, almost a decade.
How do you survive?
And when I picked it back up again, I was building a conveyor system for FedEx up near Erie, and I was like, well, here I am. I'm by Erie, and you know what? I'm just gonna go fishing. So I went to a tackle shop. I bought a fishing rod, and I bought some baits. The fishing rod I bought a the big size. What is that? 3,500 Fluger President.
Oh yeah, those are nice ones. I have one. Yeah.
I bought a 7.3 medium heavy. I think it was 13 fishing spinning rod for it. And dude, I used that for over a year. And most of the fishing that I did with that was in incredibly thick, weedy vegetation. And I threw a topwater soft plastic. Basically, we can call it a frog. That's fine. Horny toad style. That works. Dude, it works.
Yeah, it does.
Like it freaking works. Like I've literally pulled. I'm now in a kayak, but I used to be in a canoe. I have literally caught a topwater fish in basically a jungle, and pulled my canoe over to where the bass was, using this spinning rod and everything else. I mean, it works. It really does. So, I mean, if you look at like Jeff Little, I don't know if you've ever watched any of Jeff Little's videos, but my man's using a spinning rod 70% of the time.
Yeah.
And he does some nut stuff with it. So, I mean, you know, fairy wand, real fishing pole, whatever you want to say, whatever you want to call it. I mean, dude, if it works for you, do it.
I'm gonna share the video. Let me see if I can share the video of the. I don't know if it'll have sound. Let me see. Can I get it with sound? Here we go. So the whole cast and catch is there. It's not on the video. This is just me pulling a bass out of a huge salad bowl, and you can see by the rod that I'm holding what I'm holding. And I was actually throwing a horny toad by Zoom. Let me see. I haven't shared a video in a long time here. Share screen.
Which, by the way, Zoom is a great American company.
Yes,
Yeah.
they are.
Did you guys see it?
Yep.
Jeez.
look
Nice.
how big that bass is. Check it out. That's the
Cousin
salad.
Cousin it.
Yeah.
Dude, that thing, and that was about an 18-incher. But look how thick that thing is. I think I have a video of the whole catch and cast process of that one.
Fish was square, man. That fish was square. He was almost as wide as he was tall.
That is the same lake. I don't know if people have watched it, but Christine Fisher put up a YouTube video. I'm gonna say a little bit more than a month ago, where she caught a 30-pound bag. You know, It was 5 fish in a really grassy lake. That was that lake, and this video was 2 years ago. Like it's not the typical. It's not that I watched the video and went and do it. I was actually fishing at this lake. It's in Texas, way before she did.
You trying to say you weren't copying?
No, that's what I'm trying to say. I wasn't copying. I was like, oh, I'm gonna do the same she's doing. No, I've actually heard about this lake. And it's grassy. And I'm telling you that rod held up its own. That was the Douglas X Matrix 744 spinning rod. So
I've
shout out
never
to Douglas
tried
rod.
a Douglas rod. I'm gonna have to. I've heard a lot about them. I know the boys at the Catch Podcast. They also use a lot of Douglas rods.
And just to that kind of segues into promo that I always have to do. Douglas rod is now being sold for those Texas anglers at East Texas Paddle Sport, which is owned by Lance McWhorter up in Tyler, Texas. We are also we're also sponsoring the East Texas Trail Tournament. We are giving away a Douglas era rods to, I think it is either going to be the winner of the tournament or the Big Bass winner for that tournament. And that's starting in Toledo Bend this weekend. So,
hey,
go ahead.
You might want to reach out to a friend of ours, Drew.
Drew Gregory?
Yeah.
About what?
KAS is coming to Texas.
Yeah, he told me. He hasn't told me where, but yeah.
Paris.
Oh, Paris, Texas. I wonder what lake.
Well, there's not. KAS is never one lake. It's usually a region.
Area.
Yeah, but
nice,
one of them is apparently like a brand new lake that they just flooded.
Bois d'Arc.
There you go.
Yep. Which I always misspell, and I always get trolled on Instagram for misspelling that name of that lake. But yes, I think it's Bois d'Arc. If it's not, trollers, I get it. I'm not French. I don't know. Bois d'Arc, whatever. Anyways, yeah, it's
they're gonna like it's actually blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Whatever, man.
Hey, everybody needs a hobby, man.
By the way, this is my best attempt at.
No, it looks good.
Yeah,
I mean for a rookie, right?
Yeah, it looks good.
So there you go. You pair the buzz bait with the soft plastic. Again, that soft plastic is 412 Bait Company, and that the box. How many come? Not the box. How many comes in the bag? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
I don't remember.
Let me check. You gotta do transparency here, guys. Yeah,
all I can tell you is it's not a trial pack. It's an actual pack of baits.
6 soft plastic. What's the name of this? 412 4-inch toads for $648. So what up with math guy? What are we up to now? We was 30 something. Now we're up to like 25, something like that.
We're past 25.
We're up to 40 something by now.
No, really?
I think we're close to 48.
And remind me again, what's the cost of the box?
It's $35.
Plus,
that's for $35 for a single box, $32 if you're subscribed monthly, and even less if you prepay.
How is explain the prepay thing? Oh, okay, for the monthly subscription.
Yeah, you can do a 6-month prepay, a 3-month prepay, or a 12-month prepay. And any of those, with the longer subscription that you prepay for, you get a little bit bigger of a discount.
Man, we are up to, you're right. I thought we were less. 6. We with one bait to go, we are up to $47. $47, and if you straight up buy this box without doing the monthly subscription, it's $32. Is that what you said?
No, if
35.
you just buy it straight up, it's $35 basically. $34.99.
35. If you use promo code BKB5, you actually get it $30.
Correct. That's something I wanted to point it out about your discount code. Your discount code, as long as you spend $30, you get $5 off. So if you just want to buy single baits, you can do that. If you want to buy a build your own box that's already over $30, you can do that. If you want to sign up and subscribe, you can do that. It all is $5 off as long as you spend $30.
Nice. And last bait on the box, and I thought you guys were kidding me on this one. Like this, really? But I'll let you guys explain it. The Jawtech, which you've had on the Jawtech company, I think you've had them on your box before, right?
Oh yeah, we love Colt.
Yeah, Colt is a badass.
Yep.
And Jawtech is a badass.
KO stick. All right. KO stick. How many on this box? I'm in this back, the same box. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, look at you guys. 8. All right. How is this a top water? Tell me. This
All right,
is just like a
so-
fluke style something. What is this?
I need to, well.
Oh my God,
It's, what
fishy.
Josh said in the video is he called it a Luke style because we're not going to call it a fluke. But so every good topwater angler knows that you need a follow-up bait.
Yep.
All
They
right?
miss the buzz bait, throw a Senko.
That's
what I've always heard.
correct. This KO stick actually does a lot of things. You can walk this KO stick weightless with an EWG. You
Yep.
can walk it pretty much right across the top of the water. Okay, pretty much similar to what you would do with a fluke. But you can walk it right across the top of the water, and that makes it a topwater bait. But also,
Yeah, naysayers.
That's what I'm asking, guys. That's what I'm asking.
but also it does make an amazing follow-up bait. Also, which I actually have never tried, but I have heard from Colt Benedict himself, owner of Jawtech, that is a bad-ass chatterbait trailer.
Oh yeah. I can
So
see
it does a lot of things, topwater being one of them. And really, guys, really, if you want to go out and catch topwater fish, you need to have a follow-up bait. This bait does a lot of things for you. Being a follow-up bait is absolutely one of them. But I highly, highly recommend that you rig this weightless on an EWG hook, or
What size?
even an offset.
3 to 4
aught.
3 to 4. That's what I thought. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Speaking of hook size, real quick, I do want to tell everybody, if you're gonna throw that 412 toad, 412 toad,
Yeah,
41
yeah.
toad. But if you're gonna throw the 41 toad weightless, I highly, highly recommend an owner 4/0 beast hook with a screw lock. I would recommend a Vector hook, but we are working with Vector to get a screw lock hook like that made. But that screw lock on that toad is gonna make that toad last a hell of a lot longer, and it's going to do a lot more for you. I highly, highly recommend that you use a screw lock 4/0 hook.
And if I may throw a little bit of a recommendation in there, buy yourself some lead putty. Buy lead putty, put a little bit of lead putty somewhere along that hook shank. It's
little belly weight.
Yeah, I don't like belly weighted hooks, though. I like just a little bit of putty or something with density to it, just so I can keep the bait straight. I'm not looking to weigh the bait down to cast it. I can cast the bait,
That's a good point.
but it's a ballast to keep the bait from doing circles in the water. You know, something like a KO stick, the way I fish it, dude, I either throw it, a lot of times I'll throw it on spinning gear and I'll cast it. Like if I miss a fish, one thing I've been working on a lot is trying to figure out the cadence after a topwater blow up.
Yep.
So if I'm fishing a slow bait, a frog, a popper, if I'm slowly walking a bait, what I will do if I miss a blow up is I will make a cast with a KO stick and I will actually tap across the water. I will go really, really fast. But if I'm throwing a fast moving bait like a buzz bait, I'll cast it out to where I missed that bait, tap it a couple times and let it sink. Tap it a couple times, let it sink. I've learned that with this KO stick, or with missing topwater bites, if you do like the opposite of what you were doing, a lot of times you'll hook up with that fish that missed it because your presentation in the first place wasn't necessarily the right way to get him to bite, but he was hungry and curious enough to go after something, either going that slow or going that fast. You just need to, harness that reaction again. So just doing the polar opposite for me has been working. I'm not saying that's an end all be all. I know how fishermen can get though.
I actually do have a little bit of a tip for everybody with throwing follow-up baits, especially if you were throwing a fast-moving topwater bait. okay, and you got a huge blow up, and either you failed to set the hook properly or the fish completely missed it, which happens a lot. Do not attempt to throw your follow-up bait in the exact center of the circle where the fish hit.
Yeah,
you want to throw
You
want to throw it about 2 feet closer to you than that circle was, because those fish get tuned into what they're doing, and if a bait was running from them, they're not going to look in the exact same spot that it got hit. They're usually looking a little, a foot or two out. So that's something to try.
That's a good point. That is a really good point. I've learned that over time. One of the mistakes that I did was that I would cast it right where you see that little blow up, where that blow up was, and I've learned over time they're not there. Especially if you were fishing like a buzz bait or a whopper plopper, you were burning it over the water. Generally, they came from somewhere to attack that, and now they either went back to where they were or they're around that area, but not exactly where the blow up was. That's
Absolutely.
a good point.
So, and another thing about this KO stick, it gets back to my point about different sounds with top water. So if you are this KO stick, you can walk it damn near the same way you can walk that cornerstone bait.
Yep.
All right. It's almost exactly the same movement. You're going to have to fuss and fool with the little things to get it right. It takes a little bit of technique, but it's a different sound. And it's finesse top water. Josh, is that fair?
I would give it that. Like it's a different presentation that is not as intrusive or as invasive as your standard topwater baits.
Mm-hmm. So that's something I urge everybody to do is if you're really out there and you're like, you know what, I'm going out to topwater fish today and it's not working for you, like go a lot quieter or go a lot louder.
Yeah.
But like try things and definitely fuss with the technicalities of what you're throwing and how you're throwing it. Because it'll make a huge difference.
Honorable mentions that didn't make it into our box. We've got a bunch of stuff on our store. But the Swamp Pro Power Glide is a fantastic topwater bait. We've got them in our store. What it is it's a very long, it's probably like a 6-inch KO stick style bait, but on the back, you've got two little kickers, like very little kickers.
It looks like a little heart.
Yes. Just a little. So
I didn't know he made that.
One thing I love about that bait is you can cast it and reel it. And let's say you miss a bite, then you can just kill it and twitch it. And you can get it to go. It's not as easy to get to go as left to right as your fluke style baits, but that's because it's got this tail on the back. You cut the tail off, it goes left to right. The tail gives a little bit of drag because it's genuinely meant to kind of be a topwater bait. You can roll it as a bladed jig trailer, but we're not going to talk about that right now. But like what I've done a lot of times to harness bites is, I'll cast it out and I'll just start reeling it and keep it on top of the water, let it kick. And if I see something even remotely come close to that bait, I'll just dead stop it. And then just kind of stroke it a little bit, just brr, brr, brr. And a lot of times during that like dead stroke, they'll get after it. Because I think people like to focus on erratic action in topwater as the way to get a reaction strike. But here's the thing, man. You watch these bass feed on shad. The only reason the shad flee is because they know they're getting eaten. What are shad doing before they're getting eaten? They're just swimming in a straight line. Yeah. They're just naturally
and when they feel like they're going to get attacked, they move as fast as they freaking can, usually in a straight freaking line.
And that's why I have kicked up my follow-up bait presentation. Like if I want it to look like a bait fish that is fleeing, I want it to look like something that is running away, because naturally that will come that carnal instinct will come into play, and they'll just end up eating it and not even thinking about it.
That's a good point. That's good stuff, guys.
I
really appreciate your input on this. Excited to try this top water box. Go check it out. Dark Horse Tackle. Again, you can use promo code BKB5, save $5. You can do a monthly subscription box, and if you don't do a monthly subscription box, you can just buy, do a one-time deal. You still earn $5. By the way, let's rack this up. So on the last one, the Jaw Tech is $5.99. So crap. We got to $17.99. I erased what I was doing. $11.99 on the $17.99 on the Athens bait, $11.99 on the Cornerstone baits. The Defiant, that's $11. The Jaw Tech is $5.99. We're up to $46.97. And last but not least, 412 Bait Company, the Toad, that is $6.48. Again, this is the retail price as shown on this company's website, not Dark Horse Tackle. The total is $53.45. And the box costs $35 if you buy it straight up. And if you're in the monthly subscription, it's $32, right?
Correct.
Yep.
And if you use promo code BKB5, it's $30.
You're saving money.
It's $30 and the cost of everything is $53.45. I'm sorry, Aline.
Now all that
Lexi
being
is killing
said,
it.
all that
$23 in saving. That's
all
crazy.
that being said,
Yes.
this has never been and will never be a value box. That is not its purpose.
Yes.
That's not what it's about. Yes, we want you to get value as far as what you're getting, but we're not scraping bargain bins to get these baits. Never have, never will. This is the best we can. This is the best we can find for you. This is stuff that we throw ourselves.
Yep.
Yeah.
Awesome. And a lot of the stuff is you guys. The paint is a lot of it, not all of it. Some of it is like you painted this, or you hired somebody to specifically a professional painter, bait painter.
We do not paint. We never paint. We always have a painter like Anthem.
Yes, exactly. But what my point is, it's not the typical patterns that you're gonna see on a bait that is like
correct.
You guys are doing or hiring a professional painter to paint this baits.
And in fact, to even go a little bit further than that, we are starting to develop a catalog of Dark Horse Tackle exclusive colors. So these painters have agreed and made a little deal with us that there are certain patterns that we come up and we work with them to create that you can get nowhere else but through us.
That's awesome. Well, guys, I'll let you go, but before I do, and thank you again for taking your time. I know it's been a long day for both of you at work, and so I appreciate you taking the time. Anybody you want to thank? Anybody you want to shout out before I let you go?
Just the guys that were in this box, man, and the people to buy.
I'm gonna say, definitely. Thank you to Anthem. Thank you to Cornerstone. Thank you to 412 Bait Company. Obviously, thank you to Jotek, Colt Benedict.
Always.
Fantastic. And Oliver Nye. We actually met Oliver Nye at the Columbus Fishing Expo in this February, which was pretty freaking cool. But also, thank you to all you guys purchasing from Dark Horse Tackle. If anybody ever has any questions, it is not hard to find our email. It is not hard to find my telephone number. Call me, text me, shoot me an email. Any questions you have, I will be happy to answer. We do our best on the socials to make sure that we're answering people that ask us things. And unless you have 4 followers and you're asking for a free subscription, then just, go pound salt. Yeah,
those are always
interesting.
But no, I seriously thank you to all the customers that not only support us, but support all these small American businesses that we work with to create the box, to put baits in the bait shop and everything else, because that's the only way it works.
Where can people follow you? As far as
Instagram, Instagram,
not your feet
TikTok.
page.
Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, everything is at Dark Horse Tackle. Super simple. Our website is darkhorsetackle.com. Our email address is darkhorsetackle@gmail.com. So yeah, it's all Dark Horse Tackle, baby.
Go check them out, guys. Well, any final words before I let you go?
Yeah, I want a badass picture from Armando in Alaska. Let's get a great picture to put on the front of
I got this stuff. I don't even know how to use it. This is more complicated than I thought. I got a little gimbal here.
Oh, dude, those are nuts, man. Good luck.
Yeah. I don't know nothing about it. I might just return it on Amazon.
Have you seen it have a seizure yet?
Yeah.
He hasn't even
if you don't have it balanced right, it's like
no, I did.
Yeah.
Like you pulled it out of your aunt's drawer.
Oh man. Yeah. Yeah, like the shaky weight.
Sure.
What a way to end the segment, guys. Thank you. Yeah, I'm going to use this gimbal. I tried it already, and yes, that happened. The seizure thing, I was like, I have no idea how to use this crap.
Yeah, it's all about being balanced.
Yeah, I might just return it to... I was usually going to use it for iCast, but I figured I'd get it. I'm taking my drone. I'm taking more...
What kind of drone do you have?
I got one from a buddy of mine. We used to host a Spanish-speaking podcast when we're paddle and fin. It only lasted like 6 months. He's from Puerto Rico. I grew up with him. We used to go surfing a lot when we were young. After we got old, we both got into kayak bass fishing. Now he does a lot of saltwater. I did a lot of freshwater. So I figured, this is great. We're going to do saltwater, freshwater. At that time, there wasn't really any podcast in Spanish about kayak fishing. And it was kind of popular, but his wife is from Greece. He met her in Greece, fell in love. She lived in Puerto Rico for a while, and then with the whole pandemic thing, they moved to Greece. And now they live in Greece, so we stopped doing the podcast. But I don't know why I went on that rant. What was I saying that? Why did I say that?
We wanted to know what kind of drone you had, and you just gave us the plot to a Lifetime movie.
Exactly. So, again, guys, I'm sorry. I'm all over the place. So,
Puerto Rico, Greece, I love it.
So, this is a long-ass explanation that is leading up to just to say that I got the DJI Spark from him before he moved because he used to put content out there with his drone. Nice. I could have just said that and leave you out the love story. Sorry, guys.
No, you're good. Hey, listen. So I'm currently behind the scenes building another page to our website that is going to have our partners, which Bass Kayaks and Brews is one of them. So beers. Sorry, buddy. So that's what I need the picture from Alaska for, man. Get a good one.
All right. I'll do that.
Yeah, get a good one.
Hopefully I'll catch fish in Alaska.
What are you going after up there?
I'm going to do 3 days of fishing in the river, 2 rivers. One day we go to one river, another day we go to another river, whatever. I think it's Kenai River, and I think if I probably misspelled that name, and another river for king salmon. And then I'm going to do 2 days of fishing out of a boat offshore for halibut.
Nice.
So
nice, man.
Never done either one of those things. So
you gonna eat some of them?
Oh, it's for eat. Yeah, no,
yeah.
We take it back to the place we're staying. It's like I don't know. It's a tour guide plus Airbnb kind of thing. So they'll vacuum seal it for us and even ship it for us with dry ice and all that. So.
Nice,
man. Nice. So, well, have a great time, dude, and travel very safe.
Yes,
that's always an adventure. It's gonna be a long flight tomorrow. All right, guys. Peace out.
All right, Armando.
See you, man.
Pleasure as always having you. If you're going to be out there on the water, please wear your PFDs. Check out Mariner Sales. It's my latest partnership. Mariner Sales, DFW, the biggest inventory in kayaks and kayaks accessory. They even sell parts for kayak accessories, which is awesome because that saves you money. If you broke something, like I broke my yak attack the base of my Yak Attack flag. You don't have to buy another Yak Attack. You can just buy the base and saves you money. So go check out Mariners Sales. You can also buy online, marinersales.com. With that being said, we're your PFDs. Have a great week and peace out.